I just wanted to get you a video of Archie, show you what we're working on with him. So I'm doing some doorbell protocol stuff. So he thinks we're actually going for a walk right now. He's like, I got my leash on, we're going for a walk. I wanted to make a video to show you what it's going to look like when somebody comes to the door. And it's something that I'm going to have you guys practice quite a bit just with immediate family. So most of the time people try to practice this when it's the real situation, and that's good, but we also want to make sure we're practicing it outside of people coming over. So what you can have is somebody go out and ring the doorbell. Most of the time the doorbell for dogs promotes a lot of excitement. At our house, we ring the doorbell a lot, so it doesn't promote a ton of excitement. But what we want to do is when the doorbell rings, ask the dog, Archie, come, to go to their place bed. And make sure that they stay all the way on. Now, placing is not something where I give any kind of secondary command, so he just has to be on there if he chooses to sit or lay down. As long as he's dedicated to that spot and he's not getting off the place bed, I'm okay with what he chooses to do. So sometimes long term, good job, buddy, dogs will lay down like these two dogs back here. But, and he just kind of just depends. He thinks we're going for a walk. So he's like, I'm going to sit and just kind of wait patiently and see what we're going to do. Most of the time he goes there and lays down, especially if it's the end of the night and we're just like watching TV or something. So I'll kind of keep ringing the doorbell just to kind of practice and knock a lot. Come on in. The dog's back there. Like, is somebody really coming? So we practice these kinds of things a ton. Okay, Archie. Okay. Good job, buddy. And I want to make sure that he understands when it's appropriate for him to get off the place bed. So Archie, place. I'm going to get him back on. Good boy. Good. Good. Now this is a command that's harder than most because it's going to be used at the times where it's the most hectic in the house. So like when kids are, kids' friends are over or whatever. Okay, go find Elsa. So, just distractions, real life stuff. I also use it a ton for food. So often we'll hang out on place when I'm cooking breakfast in the morning, and I want to be able to leave him and go out of sight and him stay here. So I want to be able to use their bathroom and come back and have him be here. Other dogs know the drill. And so it's kind of a functional command for all different like chaos that happens in our house. And so most of the time when there's nothing going on, dogs are pretty calm in our homes. It's just the times when there's people over, when there's food involved, when we get home from work or school, that dogs are kind of at the like craziest point of their day. And so this is to kind of help promote some impulse control and some calmness through that chaos. And so that's really functional. Like, I wish there was a lot more times when we practiced, kind of the night of Halloween where there's so many doorbells, but it's something that we just have to promote day to day. Sometimes we'll get like a mysterious doorbell, like if Amazon delivers a package. And so that's kind of functional too, because we can just practice, the doorbell rang, somebody's here, even though the guy's already gone. He dropped the package off and left. And we can put the dogs on place. Good job, Archie. Archie. Okay. Good job, buddy. Yeah. Good boy. So we want to make sure that he knows when it's appropriate to get off, and that way it's super clear to him. So if he's not clear on when he can get off, he's going to break more frequently. So I want to make sure that I am really testing him, that he knows 100% when it's okay to get off the place bed. There's no gray area with it. It's not wishy-washy at all. So Archie, place. I'll put him on place. Archie, place. Good. I did a little correction there just because he hesitated. He's like, well, I was getting affection, so I don't really want to get back on the place bed. He's to the point now where I can press the button and pair it with a word. So if I were to say come or place, heel, whatever I'm saying, and match that with e-collar, he's like, oh, okay, I know that I'm supposed to do this, and you're following through on that command. So some things that I want to look for to make sure that he understands when it's appropriate to break is I want to make sure that I'm directly communicating with him, because the release command is okay. And I'm going to say okay a lot in conversation with people, or just somebody's like, okay, mom, I want to make sure that the okay is directed at him. And I'm saying okay, and these dogs, that's their release word too. And so we practice this a lot in the house, where I come up to Archie. Good job, buddy. And if it's helpful, you can go to the leash for the first little bit and say, okay, Archie, good boy. And so I'm saying okay to him. And so he knows I'm talking to him. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Archie, place. Good boy. Good job. Now, he is a super affectionate dog, and he's a little bit needy. And so this is one of his hardest commands. He rocks heeling and coming when called. I've never had issues with him waiting at doors. It's just that this right here is the hardest thing for him, especially if I give him a lot of affection. He wants to push the boundary a little bit. It's not even necessarily like all malice. He's just like, I would rather get affection and snuggle you than going to a place bed. And so that is important to know that about him. And it doesn't mean that we can't give him affection, but I'm going to have you guys withhold on like snuggles. So like having him get on the couch. If you are going to give him lots of affection, make sure he's earned it before. So one thing I practice a lot with him is he struggles if I kind of bend down like this, so at his level, and kind of beckon to him, because he's like, I really want to get off that place bed. But we want to make sure that he understands you can't just get off because somebody looks like they're going to give you affection, because a lot of our body language, especially with people coming over, is going to look like they're going to give him affection. If they come up and they're like, oh my goodness, Archie, hello, and they're talking to him, he's like, oh my gosh, that's so much better than staying on the place bed. And that's tempting for all dogs. So I practice this a lot as kind of like a little bit of a temptation, where I'll kind of come up, give him a lot of affection, go away, and make sure he's staying there. So he's not recognizing that affection means I can just break. It's something that needs to be earned. Good job, buddy. Good boy. So if I release him, it's going to be very direct. I'm going to come up to him. Good job. Okay, Archie. And I'm going to I even kind of patted my leg there. Good. And these dogs back there have to stay there. They kind of whine when I release Archie. Like, you're not going to release us? And I even kind of practice like being down next to him on his level and giving him a lot of affection and sending him from here. So this is also something that he'll push a little bit on, because he's like, well, this is way better than laying on a bed. Archie, place. Good. So even from here, I'm not going to change my body language, and I want him to get back on. So had he not done that, I would have pressed the e-collar button and followed through to make sure that he's staying on there. And levels kind of change depending on a lot with him. It has to do with excitement. The more excited he is, the harder it is for him to feel the e-collar stimulation. But most of the time he's like teens, like lower teens. When he's playing with other dogs, I've seen him kind of work up like to the higher 20s. But like I said, we really just want to make sure that he's making the connection, feeling it. It's creating urgency to get back on the place bed or coming when called or whatever we're asking him to do. And we don't have to like raise our voice or change how we train or how we are or get frustrated or anything like with him. In fact, I don't want you doing those things. I want you to stay calm when you're working with him. Good job, buddy. I'm going to kind of trick him again and kind of bend over. He's like, I'm a statue. I'm not supposed to. And then, okay, Archie, good job. Then I can release him. Good boy. Go to place. Have to remind the dog back there. Place. Good boy. Good job, Archie. Archie, place. Good. So often I use the dog's name in reference to them, because these are words that play. I mean, it's not like we say place a ton, but we say okay, and we say all kinds of things. And so we want to make sure that he's recognizing, like, we're talking to you, buddy. And so it's really, really clear on his part. So place command is going to be functional for people just in and out. And it's something that I would kind of test for. Like I said, like, you know, he's not perfect and he'll mess up sometimes, and so we want to make sure that he understands that you guys are going to follow through. Yeah, Archie loves you, huh? That's Archie, not Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix is back there. So but you know, like this kind of impulse control stuff is hard for him because he wants so badly just to kind of curl up on your feet and just love you so much, and there's a time and a place for it, but we want to make sure good job, buddy. We want to make sure that he's staying there. So even like with Hetty is kind of a temptation. I'm not correcting him, he's not breaking the place bed, but he's tempted to get off, and so I'm just gonna kind of acknowledge that. And so if I were to walk away, if I hear his little, you know, feet kind of clickety clack on the hardwood floor, I can get him back. And just, it's all about consistency and follow through. It's going to help him through a lot of these things, and just have him recognize that you guys are willing to follow through. Most dogs will cater to the least demanding person of the household. So it's tempting for him to cater to Hetty, who it doesn't know how to use an e-collar and doesn't get dogs to go on the place bed. Like, she's not very demanding, and so it's always tempting for dogs to cater more to that versus like the person that's the rule keeper. So parent shopping is something that I could see him doing. Like we've seen that a little bit with him just in our first session, where he opted to lay on the couch versus go on the place bed. He's like, well, so-and-so is going to love me up here instead, and this is better. And so we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page with these rules, and being really, really consistent with him. So good job, buddy.